The smile on my face is a is an appreciation of where I've been to know where I'm at. And I'm talking in specific about happiness. Thinking of where to find your source of happiness is a very daunting task to actually process. But, but, I want to give you a little story into how I came to complete self happiness. Let's go. Like diamonds, I'm watching how you glow. What's up, everybody? It's your boy AJ here, coming through your TV screen, your phone screen, your laptop screen, and beyond. How you doing, mate? Coming to you with another one. Everything that makes me, I'm gonna lay that for you today. As a child, you know about the sexual abuse. If you've watched the previous visuals, you know about the self-abuse, you know about the drug abuse, the alcohol abuse, all the different abuses. There's a long list of them. How do you find happiness? How do I find happiness through all of that trauma? I used to do two things. I used to go about it in two different ways. One, I used to depend on other people for happiness. So my behavior and my energy is heavily dependent at the time on the people around me, because I used to feed off of other people's happiness. Use them as the source. If they're happy, whatever makes them happy is making me happy. Or I would do things like drink, all the things alcoholics do. When I was younger, I used to hang around with a lot of adults more older than me, and I used to use them as a leeway, as an avenue, as a channel of expressing myself and being happy, finding happiness through them. Through that experience, I've learned a lot, actually. I've come to the understanding that it's a bad idea to depend on other people for your happiness. It's a bad idea, because the moment someone realizes that you are their source, they now realize that they have control of you. I've been through really bad experiences because of that. So that didn't work. Or I should say, it worked for years until it didn't. Parallel to that, drinking all the time was one way of going about it. But drinking only numb so much of the unhappiness. And after you go through the process of being intoxicated and you wake up the next day, the unhappiness is sitting right there next to you. Literally. It's just like, hey, how you doing? Where you been? I haven't seen you in a couple hours. Yeah. It's like a whole person. How I made it through that was actually to come to the realization that I need to become self-efficient and self-dependent. I need to embrace self first, foremost, and always. Self is key. Every decision I make, it's self. Every failure I run into, it's self. Every accomplishment I have, it's self. All the pain I've experienced, all the trauma I've experienced, it's self. Self-experience, self-inflicted, self-indulgent, self. But I was blind to all of that until all the other options I had tried bared no fruit. I realized that rather than trying to go outside of self for happiness, the happiness was right inside of me all along. I, for many years, embraced me as a person. I got to know me. I did weird things like sitting down and having conversations with yourself. You know, the kind of conversations where people look at you crazy and assume that you need to go to a psychiatric ward. Those kind of conversations. I would have a conversation and talk to my demons. For those of you who actually don't think that that's a thing, that's actually a thing. Like, it's metaphoric, and it's actually, like, people have demons. There are voices in your head. They're actually spiritual and physical demons. Like, it's an actual thing. I'd have to have conversations with all those different entities. Self. I went through the daunting process of doing all of that. Today, I am the definition of self-happiness. I can make myself laugh, smile, through the thick of it. The worst situation, the worst scenario. I'm the guy that can put a smile on his face no matter what. Here's the thing about that though. People will look at you as if you're crazy. So do that, because in a sense you're responding to situations and scenarios inhumanely, if that makes sense. You're responding in a situation or scenario that is not human. That's how people perceive it. Like, how can you laugh while going through all of that? How can you have a smile on your face experiencing all of that? Actually, I can do it because I'm self-dependent. So if I face my pain and say, hey, that's not going to bother me today, maybe another day, tomorrow, day after, check me back. We'll have a whole conversation about it. Yeah, I'm that guy. I will shun the pain. I'm that guy. There are days when I will sit down and I will embrace the pain. But that all feeds into the whole self-happiness. Now, doing all of that gives you the ability to be happy when you feel the need. When you outsource that control you give over yourself to other people is it's dangerous in more than one ways. One, because people will never have the option to be good and be bad without consequences and be good. I hope I just made sense. That's a lot to siphon through. If you give someone the option to be cruel without consequence, judgment, be cruel without any type of response, and then give them the option to be good without any type of response. What I've learned, as a species, no one is going to be good for no reason. People will be cruel for no reason, though. And that's the scenario you find yourself in when you outsource your happiness to other people. I hope that just made sense, because it took a lot of pain for me to understand that. I spent a lot of time in my life studying people's behavior, because I never quite understood why I went through all the different traumas I went through as a child, as a teenager, and a couple of times as an adult. I never quite understood. Like, people work in weird ways. And I think the best way for me at the time, and even still now, to coexist with all the different entities in this world and still be able to source my happiness within me, I would have to understand other people and all the different entities outside of me. Hope I'm making sense. When you understand the world for what it is, making yourself happy. You hear how many times I've said that? Self. That is the stress of this video. Self. When you come to that understanding, making yourself happy will be much more obtainable. People are not reliable. And there's a word that I use it because I used to grow up in church. There's a word that pastors used to use all the time when I was a child, and they would do sermons. They would say, people are fickle. They'll change like the weather. Now that I've grown up, I've changed that metaphor a little bit. Now I say people are like clay. They change shape depending on the weather. If it's hot, they'll melt away. If it's cold, they'll solidify. That tells you. So outsourcing your happiness to anything or anyone except you is, you're gonna end up like me, in a very bad space for a very long time. To each his own, no judgments here, because I've experienced that. But it's because I've experienced that why I can say, bad idea. Bad idea. Exaggeration on the bad idea. I'm in a weird space now where I'm completely self-built, self-made. I'm all self. And I wish that for anyone. I do genuinely wish everyone was self. Because the world will be a better place if people could find their happiness within them rather than destroying the world around them trying to find it. It's right here. And that's my journey of how I got from everyone else being the source to me being the source. Makes me wonder why I wasn't the source to begin with. I know, right? With that being said, it's your boy AJ. I love you. Eh, Charlie. I love you, eh? Big heart. You see the heart? Means it's unconditional. I love you. It's your boy AJ. I'm signing out.